This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, and welcome back to Realistic Sustainability Educational Shorts. This week, I'm not just going to talk about my experiences and just kind of ramble on like I did last time. This time, we're actually going to talk about a topic. This week is urban tree canopy. Everybody knows I like trees. Everybody on this show knows I like trees. Everybody in my city knows I like trees. And more often than not, my answer to a lot of questions are add more trees. And when I was doing the research on the benefits of urban canopy, it was basically just one big, that's why I like trees. So I'm going to pass it on to you real quick. Urban canopy has funny definitions whenever you look them up, but really it's just the collection of trees in a city area. The more trees you have at different heights, the different benefits you'll get from them. And I think sometimes they try to overcomplicate it. So I'm not even going to bother with the definition. It's just the trees in your city or town. And very few times will you see a pros and cons list because there's not a lot of cons. So I'm just going to tell you the pros. The pros are sometimes surprising for some of the things, but not all of them. Everybody knows that having trees anywhere is going to allow wildlife to live in it. That is one of those things that will help the diversity within your city. And I know there's going to be a handful of people who say, I don't want wildlife running around in the city. We got squirrels and raccoons and everything getting into our trash. Well, guess what? They were there before us. If we give them a place, they won't live in your garage quite as often. And when you go to grow vegetables and you want to do these things like a normal person, you need biodiversity in the neighborhood to make it work. So, trees. Trees provide excellent habitats for wildlife. I know this because it was their habitat before us, and it's kind of how it works. It reduces air pollution. I think we know that with that whole cycling carbon with oxygen and all the fun stuff there. But it also, just like in your house, absorbs certain toxins or contaminants in the air. It will actually give you that fresh and clean smell quite often. So even in a city that maybe has a lot of traffic or is dirty, it will smell better, or at least better than it could have been when it has a lot of trees in the area. Now, there are some things that don't always pop up on everybody's radar when we're talking about trees, like increasing property values. It does. If you have mature trees on your property at your house, it increases your property value. My deck on the back of my house would be useless if it didn't have shade. I have a good-sized deck on the back of my home, and if we all sat there in the beating sun in the middle of a summer, it would not be that comfortable. I'd have to buy shade, but I don't. I have a very mature, beautiful maple tree in the backyard, and it gives shade to the whole deck naturally. Matter of fact, the deck had to be built around the tree because I certainly wasn't going to cut it down. It was there long before us. We just built around it. It's the canopy. It's my shade. And if you notice when you look at property, landscaping and trees make a difference. I think if you watch some of those shows at late night television about house flipping, they're going to have a segment on the yard. So trees increase property value, which means it makes people want to be there because it wouldn't be more expensive if people didn't want to be there. And on top of that, if you do it in your city areas, it creates a comfort effect, a safeness effect. And your business district becomes more successful. When you have a full canopy over your business district, people don't mind walking up and down the sidewalks or standing and chatting for a long period of time. Because why? When you cover a city or town with a thick canopy of trees, well, it's not as hot, especially in the summertime when it can get really quite hot, and ground temperatures will be anywhere between 6 to 8 degrees lower in there. It creates sometimes a breeze effect, this tunnel effect, where air can kind of move down through and make things just feel more comfortable. So in the meantime, you have higher property values because people want to be there. Businesses succeed, and that is a huge thing these days. Another thing, is the energy it saves. Think about it. If it is colder or warmer and the trees are helping equalize it, you're spending less on air conditioning. Have you ever had a tree that blocks a huge window and gives you a little bit of shade, or been in a house that doesn't have shade over top of the huge window? It gets hot in that room. Radiation comes through that glass and heats up a room pretty quick. Great in the wintertime, not so great in the summer. The air conditioner works double time. And on commercial buildings, trust me, I have one now. When the sun beats in like that, your air conditioning is running twice as much as it needs to. But if there's a tree blocking that sun, you still get the light. You just don't get that direct sunlight to get the heat, and it greatly reduces your energy consumption. Now, extrapolate that over a whole city. When you have a solid canopy over all these buildings, they're using a ton less energy. And the same thing actually happens in the winter because trees block and move airflow. Let's say your home is on the top of a hill. My aunt's was, and if it's exposed, it takes a lot to keep it heated here in Michigan. But you put a couple of nice trees in front of it, it drops that bill dramatically. It blocks that cold air from hitting the house and it moves it around the outside. It does a huge service to the property. There's studies that have shown that energy reduction in cities could be as big as 50%. Quite often, you're going to save between 20 and 50% on your energy bill with just properly placing trees. And in a city, that proper placement is everywhere. See, when we talk about reducing that temperature at the street level, it's because trees can handle it. They're getting their water from below. They have transvaporation or sweating, if you will, from the leaves, and they can handle those high temperature sun beating down on them. They've evolved to handle it just fine. We sweat. Have you ever stood in the parking lot over top of asphalt to chat with a friend on a hot summer day? It's a much shorter chat than you want it to. You want in and out of there pretty quickly because it gets hot. Trees can handle that hot. Doesn't bother them a bit. And us in the shade, it feels like it's 20 degrees cooler, but it could be up to 10. And if you add the breeze, even more. It's comfortable. We like it. And that leads to another piece, public health. If you have a solid peace of mind, you're relaxed, you feel good, birds are chirping, things are positive. Trees do that. They give those birds a home. They give you that shade, that opportunity for a breeze. And if you've got some really progressive cities, people who are really thinking forward, you might even be able to pull some fruit off it, like Duran. But trees are just making it feel better, feel like home. On top of the fact, they increase safety. If you ever notice when there's a bike path or a walkway, sidewalk, they put trees between where the cars are and where they are because trees make one heck of a guardrail. You can't say, I didn't see it. It's 25 feet tall. So when people are walking down those paths, they can do so with confidence. They feel safe. Same with the bicyclist because those trees create a barrier that keeps the cars from ever hurting them. And another piece, well, let's make this the last piece. I don't want to go too long. It's trees. I could do this all week. But drainage, yeah, water drainage. There's a lot of places that have a lot of standing water. What happens with standing water is mosquitoes and other diseases or pathogens or things can grow in it if it becomes stagnant. That's unhealthy. That is very unhealthy. And trees, with their root systems, allow water usually funnel down to the tree and then follow those root systems through. The roots are burrowing through the dirt, through the clay, through all these things underground that we're not even looking at. And once the water gets to the tree, it can run down those root lines. It's like free drainage. And if you get to the part where some of this water has contaminants, well, as it kind of runs through that process, it filters it. So if any of that water makes it to your water treatment plant, it has to do a lot less treatment. The tree is helping filter it by moving it through the ground system before it gets collected. So you're saving money because you have a tree. You're not having standing water everywhere because you have a tree. You're comfortable and you feel like you're home because you have a tree. So when someone starts talking about urban canopy and you're sitting in a town meeting, the answer you're looking for is yes. The more trees, the better. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, share it with a friend or on social media. If you want to support realistic sustainability in other ways, you could become a monthly sustainer. You can do that for less than $1 a month. That's less than $12 a year. We greatly appreciate it, and it makes us feel like we're bringing some value to the table. If you can't do that, totally fine. Please leave a 5-star review, click a like, leave a comment. All of these help us tremendously. Thank you so much for listening. And just remember, we're just trying to get a little bit better each day. Little bit, big bit. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Learning should always be fun. It's proven. When you make it fun, kids will remember. Here at STEMnetics, we believe in teaching kids about science, technology, engineering, and math by building projects. These students are building robots, rockets, electrical circuits, cars, and much more. STEM surrounds us, and the biggest companies in the world are tech companies. Let us help you support your little scholars and prepare them for the future. For more information, visit us at stemnetics.org.